use public companies, use SaaStra's 5 interesting learnings, learn what folks in your industry and segment are doing through partners and channel, and start doing it as much as you can now. Copy it, learn from it, skate around it, dance around it, because in many of your industries, you'll start off direct and you'll start off from early adopters and folks that find you in tech and they find you in Google, and that's great, but it's often less than half of your world. And if you get boxed out because your competitor owns a channel or partner, sometimes it's almost game over like HubSpot. It's almost game over. Here's the one thing I have learned. Klaviyo kind of pioneered aping Shopify with this agency model. Shopify took off with these agencies. It boxed out BigCommerce and Magento and all these others. All this, it just catered to these small shops. Okay, maybe we'll get Toby here to explain how it happened. Okay, Klaviyo copied it. They copied it. And then I invested in a company called Gorgias, which is like Klaviyo for contact center. It's coming up 100 million. They copied Klaviyo. Okay, they literally hired a guy that had done this in the Shopify ecosystem. And importantly, they didn't just hire a guy. They hired someone that was badass. And here's my one learning from this one case study. It's an entirely different department. Okay. So they had it Gorgias, and Gorgias is coming up on 100 million and 20,000 SMB customers. And just like, for the same reason, just like Shopify and HubSpot, 45% of these almost 20,000 SMBs come from agencies and partners, and they only do Gorgias for their help desk. Zendesk is a great competitor. There's others, but these shops don't do Zendesk or the other kids. They've already spent 3 years learning Gorgias and they don't do others. And you need this guy that was the head of it was half marketer, half indirect sales. He would do 200 events a month, 200 anywhere, and travel to them. Anywhere these agencies were, no one else, we're all lazy. We're all sitting in front of our computers. And this guy, Phil, went constantly. He built a small team. Anywhere you could bring donuts. Anytime there was a tiny meetup, a tiny agency meetup in Boulder or Pensacola, Florida, because these are small businesses, he had a team, and they did it again and again and again and again, and it kept growing and working. And then once, if you get a little bit of a mini brand going, right, and then Shopify would start to recommend them, and then you would see triangulation. They're everywhere. That are all our events, and now Shopify is telling us to use it. What are you going to start to standardize on? Especially when Zendesk never showed up. Zendesk was a horizontal platform. Zendesk is much bigger. They acquired for $10 billion. But Zendesk only recently took Shopify seriously. They had a weak integration, great company, weak integration, but they were selling direct and to big merchants. And Gorgias is running around with a team doing 200 events a month. The big guys aren't doing it, right? So that's one way. But they didn't figure it out. Actually, I just heard the story the other day. I didn't know it. He was pushed by another vendor that's at 150 million that told him to do it, who copied Klaviyo, who learned from Shopify. So emulate the playbook and dedicate enough resources. Like, whether you can do it the way that ecosystem did or not, the meta lesson is you don't